peace and love. I greet you all in peace and love on this beautiful Tuesday morning, the 30th of June, the end. We are at the ending of the month of June in 2026. I hope everybody is doing fine on this beautiful morning. As you join me here with part 2 of our spiritual stories. Today we are going to continue part 2 of the story I told you all yesterday of an acquaintance, someone that I knew that we named Jezebel. So let us continue with the story. I hope this story brings awareness to people and people get more wiser with these stories. I hope it brings awareness. I hope it saves lives and it makes people aware of witchcraft and spiritual wickedness. Now,
in about 90 miles, take exit 34.
I told y'all that my acquaintance, my ex-friend, and we call her Jezebel. So let's continue. So when Jezebel landed in the UK, I told y'all in Trinidad, my dear friend Jezebel, she was living a very horrible life. Very horrible. Lots of men and stuff. She didn't know some of the kids' father. So, moving on, when Jezebel landed in England, UK, Jezebel decided that she needed to, forget about all these things that happened in Trinidad and start afresh. So she met a beautiful, wonderful man, a very educated man, hard-working man. He had a trade of plumbing. Jezebel decided that she needed to secure this man, get this man for herself by fire or by force. So, before Jezebel met that particular man, she did marry to a Nigerian man. But the Nigerian man, the marriage with the Nigerian man did not last for very long. So, she then met Mr. Ahab, as we called him in part 1, Mr. Ahab. So when she met Mr. Ahab, she decided she is in love with Mr. Ahab. He's not leaving anywhere. Now, at this time when she met Mr. Ahab, I was in Trinidad. When she came down to Trinidad because, she needed to consult the head witch, which was her mother, to go to the witch doctor, to get the charms, to make sure she secured this man. So while she was in Trinidad, she was telling us how handsome this man is. He is the best man she ever met, the most intelligent, wise man she ever met, and so on. So Miss Jezebel had 2 sisters and 1 brother. They were all into the witchcraft, all of them into the witchcraft. Now, before Jezebel even came to the UK, there was some stories, there was some things that was happening in Trinidad in Jezebel's house. Now, Jezebel grew up in a house where her mother practiced witchcraft. Her mother practiced witchcraft. It was the norm. It was normal. So, as the witchcraft is practiced, you will experience things in your households like incest, because the evil spirits need to be fed. So it feeds off the family when you bring the charms into the house. So Miss Jezebel's mother, who was practicing the witchcraft, I know the whole family, okay people, I was acquainted to these people. Miss Jezebel's mother, who was practicing the witchcraft, Miss Jezebel's mom, as she practiced her witchcraft, her one and only son was sleeping with her 3 daughters. Her one and only son started sleeping with his sisters. That was covered up nicely under the carpet, and life carried on. Now, Miss Jezebel then started having children herself. When Miss Jezebel started having her own children, yeah, which I know all the children as well. I know all Miss Jezebel children because I was acquainted very, very closely to the family, okay? So when Miss Jezebel started having children, Miss Jezebel's sisters, remember the brother was already sleeping with the sisters. Now the sisters started sleeping with Miss Jezebel's children. Miss Jezebel had 3 boy children and 1 girl child. Miss Jezebel's mother, the mother had 3 girls. The mother had it up, the mother own was upside down, the other way around. The mother had 3 girls. Miss Jezebel's mother had 3 girls and 1 boy. But Miss Jezebel, she had 3 boys and 1 girl. So her 3 boys, her sisters, started sleeping with her boys. How do I know that? The boys talk. One of the boys, the eldest boy, he spoke out. When he couldn't take anymore, he spoke out. So, watch the pattern. Watch the pattern, okay? The sisters was sleeping with the brother. Then, children came. A new generation came into the family. That new generation of children now, the aunties started sleeping with the boys. What do you think happened after? The boys then started sleeping with their one sister. And the one sister was not enough for the boys. You know what they done after? They started getting animals. The children started getting animals. They would collect the chickens, the cats. They love the cats. They love the cats. They will collect the stray cats and the stray dogs. And I would see these children, they would look like if there was one of the young man, one of the boys. He would collect these stray animals, and the animals would look like if these animals is dying. And the way that it looked to me was like these animals was dying. I hope nobody calls me. I forget to put the phone on private. If there's anything, we will join the videos because I would not be deleting. We will join them. So this young man who was collecting the ducks and the chicken and the cat, he loved the cats. I, with my stupid self at the time, I young and naive and thinking about the world, you know, living in the world. So I used to think this little boy, he's so kind. He's such a lovely little boy. He's gonna become a vet. Because I thought, at this time, I thought this little boy was collecting the chicken and the cat and stuff. And I thought he was bringing them back to life, you know, giving them milk and trying to nurture the animals back to health. But that's not what he was doing, my people. He was having sex with the animals. This little boy, he later confessed he used to boast about this thing to children around his age in London and beyond. Children who he communicated, some of these children I communicated with them also. And this young man, he used to boast about it and laugh at it, you know, because he did not see nothing in this thing. It was normal to them. But from what I see, my people, it was all because of the witchcraft spirits in the household what was causing all these disastrous things to happen. So let's move a little bit forward now, because the story is very heavy. This is why I can't keep it and I have to share it with the world. The story is just very heavy. Let's move a bit forward now. Anyway, while these things was happening in the household, we can go forward. Let's stay here a minute. While these things was happening in the household and the ducks and the chicken and the cat was having, this boys was molesting the animals and molesting their sister in the house. there was a man in the house, which was their step-grandfather. The man who was in the house, who was the step-grandfather, may he rest in peace, he's dead. But before he died, he drew attention to what was going on. And he said to the grandmother, he said, the little girl in the house, you need to take her to a doctor. We need to call the police and we need doctors involved. Hi everybody. Hey people, sorry about earlier. We'll have to join the videos. So we're gonna continue in part 2 of these videos of the story I was telling you all. Now I am not telling you all these stories because of hatred or anger, none of the above. I am telling these stories to bring awareness so that you all can see the patterns in the witchcraft, what the witchcraft brings, the fruits of the labor of the witchcraft. And I have over 30 years of experience with a few different families. I have seen it within a few families. But the reason why I will continue telling this one with Miss Jezebel and the family that I saw Miss Jezebel was around and stuff and involved with, the reason why I'm telling the story concerning Miss Jezebel is because I was very much close to these people, and not just being close because I was close to many of them in the witchcraft stories that I will be telling you all. I was close to many of the people, but Miss Jezebel tried to take my life because of these stories. So that is why I am using this Miss Jezebel story to tell my story and to bring awareness. Okay, now the last video, the last part we was doing there and we get cut off, I was telling you all about the man who was living in the house. The man who was living in the house, who was the step grandfather, he had a problem with what was going on in the house. He was the one who brought awareness to what was going on in the house. He said that the young child in the house, the female, she needed to see a doctor. He wanted to call the police and all of that. When this man started having concern, and he addressed the wife, and he also addressed the mother of the children, the woman I call Jezebel. But the grandmother and her daughter Jezebel, they was not interested in getting the children help. Now that I understand all that happened and all that has everything that have been exposed and manifested, now I understand that the grandmother and her daughter Jezebel, the reason they didn't want to get the children help is because they understood that the witchcraft they was doing, the charms they had in the house, it needed to be fed. And it was being fed by the children being vile and doing vile bestiality with the animals, sleeping with their sister, sleeping with each other. Now, when the step-grandfather addressed the situation, the mother and her daughter, they had a problem with it. They didn't agree with that at all. So there was tension from there on. Then this, moving on now to Miss Jezebel, when she came to the United Kingdom, I told you all she was married to a Nigerian man. That did not work out with Miss Jezebel and the Nigerian man. And then she met this guy, Mr. Ahab, his family was coming from Jamaica, but he was a British man, a plumber. And he was doing really well for himself when she met him. He was independent. He was a successful, wise Muslim man. So it came a point in time that the stepfather, who had witnessed everything that went on in Trinidad with the children and the animals and all of that, and he wanted to call for help, this stepfather was about to come to the United Kingdom to meet his son-in-law, his step-son-in-law, and see what the stepchildren is doing in the United Kingdom. When the stepfather, his ticket was booked and everything was booked, and one day before the man was meant to fly out, he was killed in Trinidad and Tobago. He was killed. Someone stabbed him in his neck. Now, it's a very long story, my people, because I am also associated, you know, what's the word do I use? Yes, I know the people also who, you know, the stepfather was acquainted with. So, the stepfather, he got stabbed in his neck one day before he was meant to come to the UK. And where was he coming to the UK? He was meant to come to Jezebel. And remember, I said Jezebel had found this man that she said is amazing. The man who is the half Jamaican and British, Mr. Ahab. Jezebel and Mr. Ahab, he was a wise, intelligent man. At that time, his senses was working and stuff. So Miss Jezebel did not want to step further to meet Mr. Ahab under no circumstances. Because the stepfather, he was a man who used to also talk. He would talk and say what was wrong in the family, what we need to fix, what is the problem in the family that need to fix, what is the problem, the issues with the children that need to be addressed. He was that type of man in the family. A good man, a man who wanted to carry the family. He wanted the best for the family. But you know, sometimes when you want the best for the family, you appear sometime to be the enemy. So because this man was very strict, he didn't put up with nonsense. He didn't put up with nonsense. He was a very strict man. He was a Rasta man. He never used to eat from people. His own wife, Jezebel mother, could not cook for that man. That man had his own pots and everything, and he never, ever, ever used to eat from Miss Jezebel mother. They could not cook nothing for that man. Miss Jezebel children, neither Miss Jezebel mother. They couldn't cook nothing for that man. He was a Rasta man. He had his own personal pots, and he used to cook his own personal food. And when he finished cook his food, he would sit right there after he cooked the food and eat it's like, now I think this man knew something. He knew something, because this man would sit and he would eat the food right there. And when he finished eat that load of food, if he need a second load, he get his second load and he eat his second load. And when he's finished with the second load, then he say to the household, whoever want, all you want with the rest. And that because he ain't going back at that. So he eat as much as he needed to eat, and then the leftovers, the household can spread it out, because there was loads of children. So the children, you know, children always hungry. And he used to make some good ital food as well. Some nice saltfish with coconut and stuff. Nice coconut dumpling. He was a Rasta man, so you could imagine the ital niceness. Niceness. But he never used to eat from the wife. Neither her daughters. Nobody at all he never used to eat from. Now that I am spiritual and I understand life a bit, I understand why that man was like that. Now, he was trying to protect himself, but yet still, he was still around evil. He thought maybe by not eating, he was protecting himself. But when you know you are wrong evil, you need to get away from it completely. Get away from evil when you know you are wrong evil and you're surrounded of evil. You need to escape that as quick as possible, because if they don't get you through the food, they will get you through your clothes. They will get you put something in your bed. They will put something in your shoes. They will give you a gift. You need to just stay far from them. Completely stay far from them. You're not safe at all. Once you know danger, that's why the good book, the Holy Bible, says to separate yourself from evil. Take no part of it whatsoever. Take no part and expose evil. That's what the Bible says. Check it, Google it. Now, moving on. Miss Jezebel did not want the stepfather to come to the UK to tell her dear, lovely Mr. Ahab husband that the children sleeping with each other down the road, and that the children been sleeping with animals, and the children need counseling, and the children need doctor. She did not want her husband, her new lovely husband, hearing that. So They done whatever they had was to done spiritually, and that man, Mr. Stepfather died. One day before he was meant to fly out, he died. Now, when Mr. Stepfather died, everybody who was connected to that, there was just an eerie feeling. The feeling was not like a normal death, it just was not normal. Everybody connected to that. Some people was acting all suspicious and weird, like if they knew something that, you know, some people was just acting very weird. Like some people in the family knew more than the others. And so there was not a genuine burial, none of it mourning, none of it was not genuine, because it was it was a spiritual death, my people. Now, after that man would die, Miss Jezebel and her sisters, the sisters went to the funeral. I can't remember if Miss Jezebel went to the funeral, but I know for sure the sisters went to the funeral. And the mother, Miss Jezebel's mother. One of the sisters told me that she even went to see them when they cut the inside of the body and whatever. Like I don't know how they get to see all of these things, but one of the sisters told me that the dead man, the dead stepfather, his insides was very pure and stuff, like a baby. I don't know how she knew all of this. But anyway, when the sisters went down to Trinidad, at that time they were illegal in England, but they were so confident that they was going to come back. So they went down to Trinidad and buried the stepfather who died mysteriously and untimely. After they buried that stepfather 6 feet under the ground, this is the same man who had a problem with what was going on in the house, and all of them had a problem with him because of he having a problem with what's going on in the house. Now, after this man is 6 feet under the ground, two of Miss Jezebel's sisters, they decided that they are going to take on the dead man name. So they dropped their daddy name and their mommy name, and they pick up the dead man name. And that is how they came back to the UK, my people. That is how they got their British paperwork, through the ritual death of the stepfather. Now, moving along, back to Miss Jezebel. Miss Jezebel, they have buried the man. Miss Jezebel is living with her husband, and life is going on. Life is carrying on. But soon after this man died, bad things started happening to the men in the family. First, we would see Miss Jezebel's brother. Miss Jezebel's brother ended up in Trinidad on the streets, eating out of the bin. He lost one of his eye, gone completely. Yeah? He was on crack cocaine on the streets in Trinidad, eating out the bins with one eye. Then we see Miss Jezebel's sons. One after the other, Miss Jezebel's sons start getting locked up, arrested. They start getting deported. One of them got shot in the foot. They had was to get him out of Trinidad, send him to some other Caribbean country to hide out from the law. A lot of bad things have started happening to Miss Jezebel after the stepfather died mysteriously and untimely, and Miss Jezebel's sisters took on the stepfather's name. Then Miss Jezebel will come and have a baby. And when Miss Jezebel came and had her last baby, Miss Jezebel baby born disabled and dumb. The witchcraft continues, yeah? The witchcraft continues because like nobody not realizing that they're not putting the dots together and adding on and seeing that the witchcraft and the killing of the people, killing people who you did not give these people life, and you are taking people life with witchcraft, and the children in the bloodline started paying the price for it. So Miss Jezebel had her last child. Her last child came out dumb, disabled. About 2 years after, or 3 years after, Miss Jezebel's sister, one of Miss Jezebel's sisters, who took on the dead man name, her first child, her only child, she came and had a baby what was also dumb and disabled. So now let's look at the pattern, my people. If you look at the pattern, I told you, Miss Jezebel's mother, she was always practicing the witchcraft. Her one and only son, that son she had, who ended up on the street with one eye, taking drugs and the cocaine, that son slept with all his sisters. And the sad thing about it, these people, they used to boast about it. Because I told you, a lot of us are acquainted to that family. And that Miss Jezebel brother, he told me, you see, my words, one day I'll be judged for my words that I'm speaking. So I make sure and speak the truth. Yeah, because one day I will be whole accountable for everything I'm saying. Miss Jezebel brother, he told me, one day we were smoking some ganja, weed, smoking up the weed. And Miss Jezebel's son told me that he his sister, which was Miss Jezebel. He told me that. I dismissed it. I thought maybe they were kids. I was young myself when he told me the truth. But I dismissed it because I had my own problems going on and that wasn't my business. And I didn't even take it seriously, you know. But he told me that, and you see Miss Jezebel's sons, I used to sit. Because remember I told you all, I is about 8 to 10 years younger than Miss Jezebel. So Miss Jezebel's children, I was very close to these children. The boys and them, I used to sit and smoke some herb with some of the boys. When the boys was above age though, over 18, there was over 18 and there was, you know, doing up there, smoking up and stuff. They were even selling up stuff. And I've been to London and chill out with some of those boys, some of Miss Jezebel's sons, because they were cool. Back then, they were cool. And I didn't know that, you know, all these nastiness they was up to. I didn't really know until Miss Jezebel tried to kill me. And I had to put the dots together. But I didn't know that these boys and them, at the time when I was dealing with them in London anyway, they were big boys. You know, one of them had 2 children with a young lady. So I know Miss Jezebel's daughter-in-laws also. And one of the boys had, her first son had 2 beautiful boys with a beautiful young lady. And one of her other son had another 2 children with another beautiful dark lady. So I know all of them, you know. And let me show you all something as well. When you have a witchcraft mother-in-law or a witchcraft anybody around you, let me tell you all something what happened to Miss Jezebel's daughter-in-laws. These girls, they were beautiful, young, intelligent, lovely girls. But as soon as they started mingling with that family, Miss Jezebel family, and getting very close, they started having mental issues. The same thing that was affecting Miss Jezebel family started affecting the in-laws, the poor daughter-in-laws. One of the daughter-in-law even got sectioned. One of the daughter-in-law even got sectioned for mental problems. Whatever, when you join a family, yeah, this is what my videos is about. But I have to use somebody in order to bring the information. But let's not focus on Miss Jezebel too much. Let's focus on the witchcraft Miss Jezebel was doing, because that was the problem. For all her problems was connected to the witchcraft. All the problem was connected to the witchcraft. And if you look at, as Bible say, 2 becomes 1. And I've seen with my own eyes, these daughter-in-laws of Miss Jezebel, they were brilliant, they were fine, they were normal girls. They were beautiful, normal, beautiful girls. But when they got involved with Miss Jezebel and Miss Jezebel's sons, Well, of course, they started getting abused physically and mentally. The boys used to beat on them because that's what they knew. That's what they grew up knowing. The boys used to beat on them really bad. And then these girls started having mental problems. One of them, as I said, was section. Now, let me show you all one of the granddaughters of Miss Jezebel. One of the mothers who was experiencing mental problems. She had a young daughter just recently. Her young daughter was on the street. All these things because of the witchcraft and the man that they have killed. That man, the stepfather that they killed, and they had the audacity to go and take that man's surname and walk upon the face of the earth with the dead man's surname, thinking they was going to get rich. But instead, the riches that they collected was incest, abuse, children on the street, homeless, children in poverty, young boys' destiny destroyed, young boys coming out disabled and dumb, young men on the street with one eye eating out the bins, young men hiding in different locations of the Caribbean island with a bullet in his leg. These were the presents that came from the ritual money and from killing all these people. I don't know if I'll do a part 3. We will see how it goes. I'm trying to fit everything in because I really would like to just drop the whole thing, but the Holy Spirit wants the stories out, so we have to keep bringing it out. Because, as I said, there is daughter-in-laws. There is daughter-in-laws. There was a sister-in-law as well involved in them, but the sister-in-law, she escaped. God set she free, and she gone. She get away. The sister-in-law get away. The sister-in-law, God delivered the sister-in-law. They had one sister-in-law because remember I told you all these people, they had one brother. That one brother, the woman he decided to get involved with and had a child with, that woman, she escaped. Thank God for that. She got wings and flew away. Yep, she got wings and flew away. But God, I believe God want the information to be out so that the daughter-in-laws who is connected to the stories, they can set free their children. They can see and set their children free. So yes, so Miss Jezebel continued doing her witchcraft, till we saw the baby came out with, the baby came out disabled and dumb. And some time ago, back in 2017, Miss Jezebel decided that she had to kill her sister-in-law because she realized the sister-in-law, that sister-in-law but escape. She realized the sister-in-law saw and knew too much of the secret. Too much. So they decided just how they killed many people before, and they were very successful in killing some of these people, like the stepfather, for example. Not only did they kill the man and put the man under the dirt, after the man was dead, they take the man's name. So that gave them confidence. The devil built their confidence real strong, and the ego was nice and strong. So they decided they're going to deal with that sister-in-law of theirs. So Miss Jezebel traveled in 2017 and she went looking for her sister-in-law. She told the sister-in-law, girl, I coming to spend a week holiday with you. Miss Jezebel had she disabled child all that time. And Miss Jezebel's sister had also have disabled dumb child. She and her sister. Miss Jezebel and her sister leave their disabled child and they travel 3 hours away to go and find their sister-in-law who saw and know too much of the business to go and finish the sister-in-law. But they told the sister-in-law, listen, we coming to spend holiday with you. They leave their husband, they leave the disabled children, and they go on to South Wales to spend holiday with their sister-in-law. But what they didn't know is that that sister-in-law was a woman of God. That sister-in-law was praying. That sister-in-law was fasting. That sister-in-law was waiting on God and suffering, but waiting on God and she suffering and learning about God while she was suffering. That's what the sister-in-law was doing. So when Miss Jezebel and showed up with she crew, Miss Jezebel and Miss Jezebel's sister, they had everything planned. They said they're keeping a party and they're going to spend time with the sister-in-law. Now the sister-in-law, her life have moved on. The sister-in-law is no longer that sister-in-law, you know. That sister-in-law was moved on. She was a married woman living with another man who had children, living her life. But they decided they needed to pay that ex-sister-in-law a visit and spend some time with her because they miss her very much. And as I said, that sister-in-law, like, she was prepared for them. She was prepared. So when they get there, they decided they're having a party. And they were having a party. The ex-sister-in-law, the way they were having the party, the ex-sister-in-law nephew, it was. So, they having their party and stuff. One of the, they go, the two of them have husband. The two sisters have husband. But Jezebel's sister, one of Jezebel's sister was there with another man. Even though she have a husband, she was there with somebody else man. So they enjoying themselves, they enjoying the late time and the partying. Next thing you know, they call the ex-sister-in-law. They say, girl, come, we having a party, we cook curry and all sorts, come up the road. So the ex-sister-in-law, as I say, she walking with God, she ahead of the game. When you walk with God, you don't get caught up in the traps. So because she was walking with God, she said to them, no girl, I'm not coming up there, I'm not very well. I'm gonna stay with my children. That's what she said to them. So the young lady stayed with her children. The young lady stayed with her children and was minding her business. Next thing you know, they couldn't get her because so what did they do? And let me don't miss out this bit. You see that ex-sister-in-law, that husband, the husband of the ex-sister-in-law, that husband of the ex-sister-in-law, that was Jezebel ex-man. That was one of Jezebel ex-man. Because remember I told y'all in part 1, Miss Jezebel was living up to that name, Jezebel. So, the ex-sister-in-law that they visited for the party in South Wales, that ex-sister-in-law husband, remember I said ex-sister-in-law, she had moved on, she had 2 children with another man. She was married, living her life. Miss Jezebel was also with that ex-sister-in-law man. So they carried the ex-sister-in-law man, friend, with them to the party. So then they could have called their ex-sister-in-law husband to come to the party because his friend is there. So he went to the party, the ex-sister-in-law husband. So at the end of that night, they sent food back for their ex-sister-in-law because she did not show up to the party and they needed to deal with her. They needed to deal with her one way or another. That is why they took the whole holiday of a week to come and deal with that woman. They was on an assignment. It was not no holiday, it was an assignment they was dealing with. So at the end of the night, they sent their ex-sister-in-law food with her husband. Well, I told you all that ex-sister-in-law, she was very wise. That food went to the bins. So they didn't get her that way. So then they decided they needed to do something else to get her. So a day or two after, they showed up at their ex-sister-in-law house because she was not going to them. So they showed up at her house. And Miss Jezebel's sister, the man that Miss Jezebel's sister was seeing, and one of their ex-sister-in-law, sister, half-sister, all of them showed up at their ex-sister-in-law house. So when they showed up at the ex-sister-in-law house, they told their ex-sister-in-law, they said, girl, let's give the ex-sister-in-law a name. Let's call her Nefertiti. So they gave Nefertiti, they said, Nefertiti, we brought you a gift. Nefertiti now was ahead of the game. Nefertiti said, girl, you brought me a gift. What gift is that? And they say, girl, and they open it and just show Nefertiti what the gift was. The gift was a black shoes, my people. A black shoes. And it wasn't even a new shoes. It was a black shoes, like a boots. But as I said, Nefertiti, she was a bit wiser. Nefertiti was wise. The ex-sister-in-law, Nefertiti, she was a wise girl. So Nefertiti told them, I don't want that gift. You will have to take it back with you. That's because, as I said, Nefertiti was a child of God. So Nefertiti was praying and fasting and all these good up things. So Nefertiti saw them before they was coming. The Holy Spirit told Nefertiti that they were coming. And hear what the Holy Spirit told Nefertiti. The Holy Spirit said to Nefertiti, your enemies is coming by your house tomorrow. And they are going to bring you a gift. Whatever you do, Nefertiti, do not receive the gift. Whatever you do, Nefertiti, do not keep the gift in your house. That was it. Your enemies is coming to your house tomorrow, Nefertiti, and they are going to be bringing you a gift. Do not accept their gift, and do not keep that gift in your property, in your home. That was the command that Nefertiti had from the Holy Spirit. So, when these Jezebel and her crew came, Jezebel is the head witch, and all the crew, all of these ladies with Jezebel, they are witches. They're on an assignment. So when they showed up at Nefertiti's house, Nefertiti was waiting and prepared. Nefertiti refused the gift. Nefertiti said, no, I don't want the gift. So then Jezebel said, girl, what's wrong with this gift? Nothing is wrong with this gift. And Jezebel took the gift to put the gift on in her foot. So Nefertiti said to Jezebel, Jezebel, that is not your size, Jezebel. Don't put that in your foot. Jezebel's whole foot was already in that shoes. It seems to be a size 7 because Jezebel have a big foot, and it size 7 or size 8 because that thing swallowed her foot. It was like if there was a force in that shoes that pulling Miss Jezebel's foot inside these shoes. Don't play with the witchcraft. That shoes was set for Miss Nefertiti. But when Miss Nefertiti refused these shoes, somebody was to take it because it's already set by the Spirit. It is so hot today. Ah, it is hot. Jesus, I'm sweating. Yes. So, when Miss Nefertiti refused the black shoe gift, it was to go back to the sender. Spiritual realm is very fair, you know. The spiritual realm is very fair. The Nefertiti refused the black evil shoes. So, it went back to the sender immediately. Miss Jezebel put her whole foot in that shoes. People, when Miss Jezebel put her foot in the shoes, Miss Jezebel got very confused. I don't know what happened from that moment. But from that moment, Miss Jezebel got very confused. Later on, months after, Miss Jezebel would end up in the hospital. Miss Jezebel couldn't talk, couldn't move, couldn't walk, couldn't do nothing. Doctors say it is brain aneurysm Miss Jezebel had. So right now at this moment, it seems like I don't think the devil have nothing else to get from Miss Jezebel because he have collected all the children. He have collected the brothers, the sisters, he've collected everybody in the family, even some of the little grandchildren on the streets. So the devil have really destroyed that family from the inside to the outside because of the power of witchcraft. When they keep going and do the witchcraft, and it's like they was not putting the dots together. You know, because as the children was going down, small things was coming. Small petty thing, little house here and there. Small little old thing was coming in. So they because their eyes was on the house, and the eye was on the Audi, and the eye was on the holiday, the eye was never on the children. They didn't try to protect the children. And the children paid the price, the heaviest price. Because remember, these adults, they have already lived their life. They are used to this life. They have accepted this as their life. But some of the children, this is not their life. This is not what they expect for their life and their destiny. So now, as I say, I'm going to end this here soon now and join it together. As I say, I'm sharing these testimonies and these stories that I encountered and I saw myself with people very close to me who was practicing the witchcraft. And these people only got disasters, premature death. They were very manipulative, deceptive, very calculative to kill people, then go and swear affidavits and take on people's name and all these manipulation. But it did not bring them wealth. It did not bring them joy. It did not bring them peace. Now today, some of them, they remain with the old house. The holiday is gone. The money is finished. But they are left with the dumb, disabled boys. These boys, their life is finished. These boys, their life is over. So you know what I have also learned, my people? This is what I also learned. By being around these people, Miss Jezebel and her sister, and seeing them do their money rituals and their witchcraft to get money, and seeing the outcome of the disabled boy. Now today, they have to find special needs school to put these special children in. This is what I learned. And I always observed this before I experienced these things with these people. My spirit was always showing me these things. When I see children that is disabled with all these multiple disabilities, I knew always in my soul and my spirit, and nobody can remove that from my soul and my spirit, that there is some spiritual things going on with that child. Any child that I see that have multiple disabilities, dumbness is a spirit. It's a spirit of dumbness. That is in the Bible also, the spirit of dumbness. They can put a spirit of dumbness on you through their witchcraft and their rituals. Now, you see, when you have these children around you have to be careful, because a lot of these children that you see with all these multiple highly disabled, they got parents like Miss. Hey people, sorry about. Yeah, the place is so hot today that the heat is making my phone cut off. Yes, but I will join all the videos together. Half of the people that you see with disabled kids, with multiple disabilities, they have parents like my ex-friend, acquaintance, Miss Jezebel and Miss Jezebel's sister. It's spiritual, my people. It's spiritual. It's a spirit that is possessing the child in many cases. It's a spirit, a demonic spirit that is possessing the child and stopping the child from doing these things and making the child sick, because I've seen it with my ex-friend and acquaintance. She willfully trade that child and her sister. They traded the child for wealth and money. And they done witchcraft and rituals, and that's why the child became how the child is today. So now I see, imagine you're working in a special needs school. You must know many of those children is possessed, oppressed by a demonic spirit. Yes, I've seen it within my eyes, very close in my eyes. And you know what, Miss Jezebel, even when Miss Jezebel, her disabled son, when Miss Jezebel's disabled son was a young boy, he was about 3-4 years old. When Miss Jezebel's son was a very young boy, this child was already possessed. This child used to walk around the house and masturbate. And Miss Jezebel, when I asked her, I said, Miss Jezebel, why is the child doing that? Miss Jezebel said to me, he likes to do that. It was normal. He likes to masturbate, walk around and masturbate. And he was just about 4 or 5 years old, little boy. He was already possessed. It's because of the witchcraft, my people. These things is not normal. Don't be fooled. It is not normal. These things is not normal. Why it is not happening to me and you and everybody else? Because we're not dealing with what they are dealing. We're not making rituals with the devil and sacrifices and making covenants with the devil. Don't let them fool you all. And the sad thing about it, as I said, if there's one thing, you could say, okay, this woman is crazy. But if you see all these things happening within the same family, you need to know witchcraft is at play. Witches and wizards is at play. Now, we will continue. I think we will continue with part 3 because we got many stories to tell. And a lot of these stories is connected to Miss Jezebel. Yes, a lot of these stories is connected to Miss Jezebel. And Miss Jezebel, you know what was wrong with Miss Jezebel? Miss Jezebel had a problem with her sister-in-law. It was all envy, my people. Just envy, because when Miss Jezebel and her sisters came to the United Kingdom, they were here before their sister-in-law. Their ex-sister-in-law, they were here before their ex-sister-in-law. But their ex-sister-in-law, all the witchcraft they was doing and stuff, it wasn't helping them to elevate at all. But when the ex-sister-in-law came up on the scene, her hands was clean. So everything that ex-sister-in-law touched turned into gold and diamonds. And that is what the problem they had with their ex-sister-in-law. They were here long before the ex-sister-in-law, but the ex-sister-in-law came, she got a house before them, she started driving before them. She was just excelling from one level to another, and they couldn't stand that. All of these is reason why they wanted the ex-sister-in-law dead. Dead. They tried to kill that young lady many times. But I told you all the worst was in 2017. With the black shoes and the poison sheet. They gave her poison wine and a black shoes. Now today, that black shoes, Miss Nefertiti, the ex-sister-in-law, she never touched their black shoes. The black shoes went back to the sender. The sender ended up with brain aneurysm. You think that is normal? Do you think that's normal? That's backlash. It's called backlash. Back to sender. Back to sender. Whatever you sow, that shall you reap. And the grave you are digging for somebody else, you will fall in it. The evil you are plotting for somebody else, you will fall in it. And your children. Remember, people, we've got to remember we have children. And the evil we do to others, our children does come and pay for it. And our grandchildren. Okay? Our grandchildren and our children will pay for it. This is why I keep my hands clean. I tell the truth, because I don't want my children and my grandchildren pay for nothing that I am doing. Nothing. So I don't want to see my little granddaughter in no streets. Yep. I don't want to see my granddaughter in no streets. I don't want to see my grandson no way with no bullet in the foot. No way. Hiding out from the police and living like a wild animal. I don't want my children to be sectioned either. So I keep my hands clean. I tell the truth, I be content, and I makes no deal with that devil. Because that devil, he's not our friend. He don't like humanity. He hates us. Now, people, y'all stay strong. Be strong. I'm going to my next location. And if I see fit, I'll come with part 3. I will have to go and check my stories and stuff because we are writing as well. So I'll check it and see if I see fit to come with a part 3. You all have a blessed day. Peace and love to you all. Keep your hands clean. Stay away from witchcraft. It carries something called generational curses or repeated cycles in your family. Stay alert. Keep all your hands clean. Okay? Keep your hands clean. And even if you was to be a witch, at least be a smart witch. Walk with a journal. Get a journal. And when you go by the witch doctor and you collect charm and you bring it in your house, write what it is transpire after. Write down what goes on after. Write down the kind of dreams you are having after. And compare, and you would see that the witchcraft is bringing you nothing but trouble. Problems on top of problems and destroying your children and your generation. Destroying your children and your generation. Many of you who have children that have many disabilities because of your witchcraft. Stop it. Stop doing the witchcraft. Stop sacrificing the children to the devil for material gain. The material gain, you cannot take it nowhere to the grave with you. Stop it, people. Stop sacrificing the children for material wealth. Right. Stay blessed. Until we meet again. Peace and love to you all. God bless. Bye. Yeah, the heat is, the place is so hot today that the heat is making my phone cut off.